Welcome back. We started off the year with a review of 2019 with Professor Bola Akinterinwa, the Director General of Bulitac Center for Diplomacy and Strategic Studies. In the first part of the interview, we tackled U.S. relations with Nigeria and the xenophobic attacks. This time, it discusses the issue of Brexit and whether the UK will eventually leave the European Union and other issues. I want us to talk about Brexit, which, dominated a lot of discussions in 2019. Britain had about 2 extensions. They've had 2 prime ministers, no, 3 prime ministers now because of Brexit. David Cameron resigned. Theresa May took over. She eventually resigned in 2019. And then Boris Johnson became prime minister. And, I remember the last time Brexit was extended, the time before the new date now, which is January 31st. I remember the EU Council President Donald Tusk saying that he hopes that Britain would make use of this time. And here we are, January 31st, staring us in the face. Do you think Britain will leave the European Union on the 31st of January?
Yes, I subscribe to that particular school of thought. If it is possible to advance the date to say January 10, the British will leave under Boris Johnson, the reason will not be far-fetched. Oh, okay. The bitter truth, which people always prefer to ignore, is that Britain was admitted as a member of the then European Economic Community on January 1, 1973. But in 1975, there was the first referendum. Referendum to determine whether or not the membership should be sustained, just by narrow margins. So people voted to say, okay, let's give it a trial. Let's continue to be members. So the idea that the British have 100% or fully committed to European Economic Community, which through the Treaty of Maastricht now became European Union, is not there. The commitment is not there. The second referendum took place in 2016. All right, on the basis of which we are now talking about Brexit today. Now, I will even talk about a third referendum, although it's an election, legislative elections.
It was a referendum on Boris Johnson.
Precisely. Now, everybody knew, and everybody still knows quite well, that Boris Johnson is an epitome of Brexit. He's a chief advocate of Brexit. So, by electing him, re-electing him, giving him mandate. The mandate is for him to push the agenda of Brexit. That is the only logical way of interpreting that. Impression was given that the British people do not want Brexit. In the parliament, every effort that was made to advance the cause of Brexit was shut down by the parliament.
And they couldn't come up with a document that they could all agree
Precisely. On. And now the issue is that Boris Johnson now called for election. Some people did not like it, but he tested, all right, his integrity, his personality. And the people gave him the confidence. Now he has the,
Yeah, but this is the same confidence they also gave to Theresa May when she first became prime minister. To quell all of these negative comments and all the criticism, she also held an election which was to her own undoing anyway, when she couldn't win by a clear margin and had to form a government.
Yeah, but the problem was that under his predecessor, they don't have the majority, absolute majority in the parliament. Now he has that, and he's now counting on the numerical strength, of his support. So
yeah, but I also want to look at the impact Brexit will have on the rest of maybe Europe or the rest of the United Kingdom. Well, this is just Britain leaving the European Union. There's still the United Kingdom, and you have Scotland that's planning a third referendum as soon as Brexit takes place because they don't want to leave the EU, and Britain does want to leave the EU. So will there still be a United Kingdom at the end of Brexit?
I think there will always be United Kingdom simply because, look, the association, the kingdom, the union when agreement was done more than 300 years ago, it was on the basis of you have England, you have Wales, you have Scotland, all these countries are there. If one withdraws, others are still there. So there will still be change in continuity. And apart from that, the mere fact that one is speculating and we are expecting another referendum doesn't mean that majority of the voters will be against Brexit. There is nothing to suggest that for now. Especially if you look at the Labour Union, all right, if you, the Labour Party, then you look at the pattern of voting in the last elections. Those who were not expected to vote, you know, they voted for Boris Johnson. In fact, the Labour Party leader was disappointed. Yeah. He has to resign. So in this case, nothing is can be predicted in terms of the possible outcome of another referendum. But the truth is that, look, the British really want to remain British. And the major dynamic is clear. The British sat down and considered the fact that they were responsible for the Industrial Revolution. They have been very great in international politics. And they do not suddenly now want to become, you know, an appendage of supranational authorities where decisions will be taken and then they will now be at the receiving end. You know, the British, even look at their name, Great Britain. It's not just for joke's sake that they are called Great Britain. We know it's a small territory. But their greatness is in the fact that they attach values, you know, to their civilization. They are looking at what they are. They colonize America. They colonize many countries in Africa. They have their currency as part of the Bretton Woods institutions, you know, the dollar and the pound. And we now want the ECU now to override their pound sterling. So all these things, and then member states of the European Union will now want to bring the Asians, the Arabs, or the foreigners in such a way now that they will come to the UK and then pollute, quote and unquote, you know, their tradition. People don't talk about this, but this is the truth. So you can be talking about global migration, you can be talking about European integration, etc. But when it comes to integration of people, please, that is where you will now see the limits, that people have different cultures and they want to maintain, you know, their style of living, they want to maintain their personality, they want to maintain their integrity, and they want you to stay where you are. The point is, can a foreigner, a foreign citizen who became British, can he be a monarch? Can he be a prime minister? Can a francophone African be president of France? All along. These are the issues. When you are a citizen, there is a limitation to what you can go and achieve. They give you conditions. You must have stayed in this country for about 3 years or 10 years. And when you have this, when you meet this type of condition, this is the condition under which you can be this, you can be that. If the issue is just to work administratively in an office all along, yes, you have them. If the issue is to drive taxis all along as a citizen of America, yes, you can do all this. But by the time you will be required to work in the security agencies, why is it that African students will not be given admission to go and work in the nuclear institutions, to go and study?
Professor Bola Akinterinwa, a pleasure always speaking with you.
Thank you.
This is our stop on the program today. I want you to know I have been reading the comments, especially from last week's show, from those of you who watched on YouTube. Your thoughts are most appreciated. And let me know what you think of the situation in the Middle East. I am Amarachi Ubani. I'll see you next time.